So Slaven Bilic has emerged as a surprise candidate to take over the West Ham job. My name's Nick Hawkins. Welcome to this video. Before we get started on this video, we're going to be talking about Slaven Bilic and another few managerial candidates. Thank you to OK Jerseys for sponsoring this video. £15 football shirts. Use discount code Nicky in the checkout to get an 8% discount. You can click the QR code up there. Or you can click the link in the description down below. But thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. It's just a quick impromptu video, really, because I am getting ready to do the calling show. If you want to get involved in the calling show, you can do that this afternoon, where I'll be speaking to Paul Colburn, aka Bubbles, the man that stuck the corner flag in the middle of the pitch, about the protests tomorrow. Saturday. But then it came to my attention. Slaven Bilic has been publicly announced as a candidate to replace Graham Potter. Now, for me, I know the West Ham weight have just confirmed this, so you've got to take this as a statement of truth. But there is a couple of other candidates. Sean Dyche and Nuno Espirito Santos are still in the ring to do this, but this does not look like a good look for Graham Potter. This looks like they are actively trying to do it. And I've got a feeling this might be because of the protests. They're trying to sort of lift spirits just before. I will tell you this, right? And we have got sources close to this. I won't tell you how and I won't tell you where. I did hear this a little while back, and I did, there was a couple of things with Slaven Bilic where I heard categorically that he was in the running if Graham Potter was sacked to take back over. Now, would I take Slaven Bilic back? I think short term, yes. I think, the last season at Upton Park under Slav, that last game, it'll go down in our folklore. Slav was a very good manager for us. I like Slav, but I've got to say this: towards the end, it started to get a little bit difficult for Slav. He had this Dimitri Payet thing, and a lot of people do credit his success to Dimitri Payet. Being in such good form and having Dimitri Payet. And then a lot of people do say as soon as Dimitri Payet sort of went off the radar, as soon as he stopped wanting to play for West Ham, Slaven Bilic's reign come to an end very, very quickly. But it's one of them ones where could it be sort of fueled by nostalgia? Listen, I'll take him, I'll take him on a short-term deal. I think he'll lift the spirits. I think there's a few players in there. Mark Noble, especially up in the boardroom, would know him. But but I would say that if there wasn't a long-term plan in place. So would I take him? Would I sign him up to a 5-year deal? Probably not, to be quite honest with you. Slav was, as I said, a good coach, but there was, parts of the end, towards the end, and he had a lot of trouble at the London Stadium. He had a lot of trouble trying to get his plan at the London Stadium. Slav knows West Ham. He knows Upton Park. And then, we spoke to Julian Dix recently where he turned around and said, he struggled a lot at the London Stadium because it was so far, and, he couldn't feel the crowd and he couldn't feel the the atmosphere. And let's be honest, over the last few years, it's got worse. So it's not the same West Ham as he walked back into. But I think as a feel-good factor, I think he would be good. Middleton says, I'm going to take some comments in a minute. RJ Middleton says, Bilic and Carrick. I don't think Carrick's going to step down. I've mentioned Michael Carrick before as a potential suitor to us. But we have also heard there has been a couple of breaking sort of news. Potter hasn't been given a deadline, apparently. So we could still lose to Crystal Palace this week. And he keeps his job. But we've got David Moyes' Everton looming very soon after that. So that could be the final nail in the coffin for that. And a couple of other candidates have been Sean Dyche and Nuno Espirito Santos. Now, I would say Sean Dyche, no, because you're going to, ask Everton. They got rid of Dyche for a reason, got Moyes in. For us to get rid of Moyes and then get Dyche in, I think it would be very, stupid, to be quite honest with you. Nuno Espirito Santos would be my choice as a longer term successor. I think he could get, at least the wingers playing well. But Slaven Bilic, listen, if Nuno wasn't to take the job, or Nuno wasn't available right now, say he wanted to take a little hiatus or a little break before he gets back into management, Slaven Bilic would be perfect, I think. And I think he'd give it at least a short term boost of confidence. I also got to put this in now. This has come out at a very opportune time. The board know there's protests looming. We'll be talking about that tonight on the call-in show. If you want to call in, please. I'm going to put out a tweet in a second, and you can request a link. But it's come at a very opportune time. It's one of them ones where I think they want to try and make the feel-good factor come around the club just before people decide or not whether they're going to go out and protest. So bringing up a name like Slav at this time may sway a few people the other way. I don't think it sway many, and I mean you've got to be very fickle if you're going to, if you've got to think that Slaven Bilic is going to stop you from protesting and make out all the last 15 years all good again. But that is that will be their mindset, to be quite honest with you. Let's take a couple of comments in. Yeah, there we go. Look, Ryan Archer says great timing for Sullivan. There we go. That is absolutely spot on. Michael Arkle says I would have him back in a heartbeat. Brian P says yes, Slav, yes, please. Icelandic Traveller says that idea is ridiculous. To have him back, I suppose. Matt Rainey says, unpopular opinion, I never wanted him to go in the first place. He was treated like shit by the owners. We bought shit players. The first year at the Taxpayers Stadium was always going to be the hardest. At least Dyche would keep you up, says Spurs gang boss. They're still here, the Spurs fans. Again, look, we Spurs had an amazing feeling after beating Villarreal. The most boring match I've ever seen in my life, mate. I had to switch it off. How did your European match go? Yeah, it went very well. Thank you very much. This is embarrassing. They keep on doing this to get on the side, but this is going to make us go down to the championships, says King Joe Un. Clever. QT Redhead says, not for me. I think the good season was a lot to do with both Payet and the fact the crowd lifted the whole atmosphere. We went toe-to-toe with everyone in that 2015-2016 season. That's 10 years ago now, mate. That is 10 years ago. Like, let that sink in. 10 years ago, that 2015-2016 season. A lot has changed since then. Let's not forget Mickey at right back, Torre, Caleri, Zaza. All dreadful decisions by him. Torre, he chased for 2 seasons. Torre was a decent player when he was playing in Turkey. When he came to us, he was awful. I really thought Potter would be the guy, but I've seen no progress. But this is down to the players who knows. And Chicken Run says, I often wonder how Bilic could have done if the scum owners went and got his top target, William Carvalho, that summer. Payet was his top target when he first joined, and he was superb. He wasn't just superb, mate. He was world class. There we go. We'll leave it like that. One more, actually. Andres Nunes Jaros. The fighting spirit would be the main thing Bilic brings to the table. Can't see him bringing much else. Sometimes, mate, that's all you need. But yeah, and leave your comments in the comment section down below if you're not watching this live. Thank you very much for joining us with the video. As I said, we'll be back later. This is just an impromptu video, but we'll be back later with a call-in show. So don't miss that at 5 o'clock. And as I said, we're going to put out a tweet in a minute. If you want to get involved, get involved. But thank you very much. One thing left for me to say, come on, you irons.